All right, so my name is Nash Foster, CEO of Pyrofex Corporation. We're launching a new blockchain here at this conference today. The blockchain is called C-Delta. C-Delta is a truly decentralized proof-of-stake cryptocurrency that is targeting to Visa-level transaction volumes with realistic end-user latencies, right? So we want transactions to confirm in just a few seconds and then to finalize within a couple of minutes, so that people can use cryptocurrency, in the normal way that they would use any sort of payment network at the retail point of sale for online transactions, whatever. We want to be able to support, all the world's commerce on a blockchain. Today, Bitcoin and Ethereum can handle about 10 transactions a second. Right, which is nowhere close to enough to even handle, the traffic that Starbucks produces, much less handle global payroll or, grocery stores, gasoline, any sort of the point of sale type applications. So C-Delta is based on a consensus protocol that we designed last year called Casanova. Casanova is unique because rather than producing a blockchain, it produces what we call a block DAG, which is like a mesh of blocks. We allow a node on the network to produce blocks every minute. So there's just a huge amount of capacity built into the protocol to allow people to transact at massive scales, right? And Casanova, we published a paper at the end of last year proving that the algorithm has all the properties that we want. So it's a safe, live, and partition-tolerant algorithm. We were able to get the properties that we wanted from Casanova by making some mild assumptions about the physical infrastructure and network, which we believe are extremely realistic for real-world conditions. Part of what makes C-Delta unique is that we have not just produced a protocol, and we're not just producing a piece of software, but we're actually also designing and building physical infrastructure to go along with the software and the protocol, as well as a governance process that will allow us to maintain the physical infrastructure and the protocol continuously in the future, allowing us to incrementally upgrade and improve the feature set of C-Delta without any forks, right? So we believe that this makes us unique in terms of being able to cover all the different bases and handle all the major problems that cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum have experienced that have prevented them from being able to continue to advance and address end user needs in a way that's realistic. So one of the biggest things that we've seen in cryptocurrency recently is as the volume has decreased over the last year and a half, we've begun to see a lot of 51% attacks. And one of the things that's unique about C-Delta is that our transaction flow actually achieves true finalization and is not subject to transaction rollbacks or chain reorganizations. So 51% attacks are not viable against a protocol like ours. We believe that this makes the transaction security substantially better than what's achievable with Bitcoin, Ethereum, or other proof-of-work systems particularly. C-Delta transactions will truly finalize within about 2 minutes. So once you put a transaction on the blockchain, within a couple of minutes, it cannot be rolled back, and it will be impossible for attackers to be able to do deep chain reorganizations similar to the ones we saw, for example, on Ethereum Classic last month. On top of that, the way that Casanova handles double spends and other transaction-based attacks on the network, it actually causes the attacker's transactions to get slower without impacting other users. So Casanova has a kind of line item veto for transactions that allows the blockchain to continue to optimistically process transactions that are not attacks, while performing the hard work of consensus finding and transaction ordering on just those that represent potential attacks that cause conflicts on the chain. The result of this is that like most of us are going to get the same performance from our transactions no matter what, day in, day out. We're going to see, statistical finalization within just a couple of seconds and true transaction finalization within 2 minutes. And it's only the attacker's transactions will get slower when they're launching attacks on the chain. So we believe this makes C-Delta the most secure blockchain protocol available at this point, and we're really proud to launch it. We also believe that one of the biggest difficulties for blockchains like Bitcoin and Ethereum has been unrealistic monetary policy and unrealistic governance surrounding that policy. So if you look at sort of where the Bitcoin holdings are, one of the things that you'll discover is sort of a quiet little secret that a lot of people know but don't talk much about, is that most of the Bitcoin is held by the large miners. And they can't sell it because there's not enough inbound capital flows to allow them to actually generate real revenue in whatever fiat currency they're interested in paying their bills in. And so we have, in our white paper, we actually have a graph of Bitcoin price and Bitcoin volume. And you'll notice they're the same graph, right? The blue line is the price and the gold is the volume. And so what this means is that the price of Bitcoin is essentially completely linked to the size of inbound capital flows. So on days when capital is flowing out of the network, the price plummets. And on days when capital is flowing into the network, the price goes up. But the miners can't actually take any revenue because monetary policy doesn't really allow it. And the difficulty of that is that there's no revenue in operating the network. Nobody has an incentive to continue to operate the network. And the size of the network, the number of nodes and the amount of mining, is what determines Bitcoin's security. So one of the unique things about C-Delta is that we've baked in a very reasonable interest rate that represents a rate of inflation so that we can essentially tax people that have savings enough to guarantee that there will be operating revenues for the nodes, for the people who are essentially running miners and operating the network. And that, we believe, makes it possible for C-Delta to operate sustainably for many years to come, because there's going to be sufficient cash flows to ensure that the price is decoupled from trading volume, unlike in the case of limited currencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum, where the amount of currency is fixed. So these are some of the main features of the C-Delta project. We've got a booth over here, booth 321. You can come see us. You should have a white paper on your seat. Take a look at that. If you're interested in more detail, if you're an accredited investor, we are currently taking investment, and we have projected financials and other information available for you if you come by the booth. So that's my spiel. Do you guys have any questions? Nope. All right. Thanks.